between the sky. Rely on yourself in a way. Believe.
Good morning, everybody. It's middle of the week. And the topic today is an odd one. Um, and so before I begin, I want to ask folks out there what they believe the title means. Um, I'm gonna. It's a nice little trivia. Where do you think the topic is going to actually go? It's not cold here. I don't feel hot like most people. Summer is my favorite time of year. And so I don't fry like people and I don't sweat like everybody else. It's just I'm a summer guy. I was built for this. Built for this. Okay, so I see one answer. How many people have an idea of where this might be going? This is uh this is the first answer for body count. Anybody else? Where you think this is gonna go? The jibbity jab, that's another place. Anyone? Just chime in. Where do you think that body count matters is gonna go? The topic is body count matters. So if you were to take a jab in the stab in the dark about it, where do you think the topic's gonna go? Oh, that's a good one. How many don't come to the Father? Okay. Who still need to be saved? I thought you were gonna talk about dead people. Okay. Okay. The unholiness of premarital unions. It's quite, it's quite the description. No, mosquitoes don't bite me. They will. Okay, I have like the ratio is about 1 to every 70. So like my family will get destroyed by them if they go outside. One may land on me, maybe two at the most. They don't like me. And I'm fine with that. They can hate me all they want. So body count matters. Now, I picked it to be a little controversial in the thought process of people. And it's not so far no one has nailed the direction that I'm going to go with it. So that's good. That's good. Um there is a trend that's moving more towards the um humanistic side of um life than it is the spiritual side. And there are more people today that think that what they do or don't do is what dictates God's sacrifice. The title Body Count Matters is more of a statement about whose life that was given up that matters. So technically, there's only two that matter. There are two bodies that matter: the one you release to death and the one you pick up in life. Those are the two body counts that matters. See, today, humankind has gone in a direction that is so self-centered it's not even funny anymore. Like, look what I've done, look what I've given up, look what I. And what has God given me? How many blessings can I get? Look how many souls I've won for the kingdom. Look how many people I've reached because of what I've done. And we've become so me centric that we forget the most pivotal body, which was Jesus. We become so centered on self that we've taken almost every scripture that's out there and have applied it to what we do, not about what he's done, but what we do. And if you remember clearly, we've talked about before on this channel about what you can actually do and can't do, and what you the results of what you think you do has on the kingdom. And the question really comes down to whether or not you're actually doing it. Because once we start doing stuff because we can, we've forgotten his power altogether. And we will ascribe him that, oh, he's doing it, but you're not actually doing it because he said. You're doing it because you feel you have to do it. That's never going to work out. I'm like, it never will. We have not embraced this concept of allowing God even the opportunity to do what he has to do through us. He doesn't, we don't even give him that option. We approach him, right, with our talents, and we tell him what time we have, and we tell him what vision we have, and we dictate what we can and can't do, where we want to go, what ministry we want to have, how much money, how many blessings. We go to him with all kinds of wish lists, and we never go as just a body. We never just go. We've talked about Moses before. Moses was not an orator. We've talked about the disciples. They were just fishermen. Many of the men and women that have followed God went completely outside of what they were to become something that they would have never seen themselves being. They didn't come with a notion, an agenda, a reasoning that would lend their talents to the kingdom. Instead, they came to the kingdom and God assigned them talents. And you could name them all: Gideon, David, Moses, Abraham. There are myriads of examples in the Bible that tell you straight off that your talents that you think you have don't matter. What you think you can bring to the table has nothing to do with God. Nothing. But we think our body is where the value lies. Oh, God needs me because this is what I can bring to the kingdom. What if he doesn't want to use what you have for the kingdom? What if he has something completely different than you have ever thought of that's completely outside your comfort zone? What if you're one of those people that don't talk to people? Okay, you're just not a outgoing person. You what we would call an introvert, and you encounter God in a real way, and He says to you, you are going to speak to many people publicly about me. Will your reaction be like Moses and say, "Hey, whoa, 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 whoa! I'm not a man of good speech, and I don't just do that. That's mm-mm." Will that be your first reaction? Because if that's your first reaction, you have to think two things out first. Okay, so let me. Who are you to tell the Creator of the world what He can and cannot do with you? If you say you've surrendered your life to Him, who are you? Secondly, who are you to tell Him that you are meant to do something when He's the one that plans your future? The majority of us enter a union with God and tell Him what we will do. We want to assign our talents. We we go after Him and tell Him, I have really good skills in this, this, and this, and this. I can't wait till you use me for that. What if He doesn't have that plan for you? What if His plan is for you to be still and do nothing? What if His plan is for just you to encounter Him and be? Today's society is also obsessed with the same people, of course, that have this whole body count thing in the sexual realm are the same people that will talk about bringing something to the table. They'll speak of women, what do you bring to the table? They'll speak about men, what do you bring to the table? Unfortunately, that has now translated to the church. What do you bring to God for Him to use? See, when we hear that, we think I bring everything that I know, all my skills. This is what I'm good at. I know He'll going to use that. I'm a teacher, so He's definitely going to use that somewhere. I'm really good with kids. He's definitely going to use that somewhere. I'm good with adults. He'll use that somewhere. I have a history of this, so I can help people out with that. That's going to be good. And we pigeonhole ourselves based on what we feel and ignore what He has planned because we never really communicate with Him about it. We just kind of go, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I'm entering the kingdom now, and all my talents are going to be used for that. And in your mind, it's a great thing because you have a good talent and you have a good offering and you're going to bring it and you're going to use it and it's going to make the kingdom flourish. But that may not be what He had in mind because you never asked Him what He had in mind. Because you have become the head, not Him. And you know how far back this goes? We ingrained it in our children. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be blah, 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 blah when I grow up. So they set their minds on being that. We hardly ever tell our children, will you be subservient to God's will for your life and let Him pick your future? I'm guilty of it. I am guilty of it, of telling my children, you have a bright future ahead of you. You can be whatever you want to be. I am very guilty of not telling them, you're going to be what you allow God to make you. Because in our minds, we're bringing our body and our body counts. Our body counts to the grave. The church needs to remember that it's not filled with people that are supposed to have stayed alive when encountering the cross. The church should be filled with spiritually resurrected people. Instead, the church today is filled with a whole bunch of people who have never died to self. They love self. They think self is the best thing ever. I have so much to offer the kingdom. We've heard this before, self-affirmation kind of things. You are worthy, you are worth it. You. And it's very subtle, very smooth. It sounds really good. Really good. It feels so good, in fact, that we never address it. In Exodus 40 is the account of Moses, right? And I want to read this exchange so you understand how inadequate our response to God is when it comes out of self. Let's go from verse 8, I think. All right, yeah, let's do this. I'll bring this one up. All right. And I think I want a different. There we go. All right. Then it will be, if they do not believe you nor heed the message of the first sign, that they may believe the message of the latter sign. And if it shall be, if they don't believe even these two signs or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it out on dry land. The water which you take from the river will become blood on the dry land. Then Moses said to the Lord, now tell me if you hear yourself in this, okay? O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, the blind? Have not I, the Lord? Therefore now go, and I will be your mouth and teach you what you shall say. But he said, O my Lord, please send by the hand of whomever else you may send. Okay, so I'll say this about Moses, right? Maybe you haven't seen it before, but he was like Peter before Peter was Peter. He always knew better. Moses always knew better. Have you realized that about Moses? Like he oversteps. Speak to the rock. Smack. Go talk to. I can't talk to nobody. Sorry. Send somebody else. Send somebody else. So the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And look, he is coming out to meet you. When he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. Now you shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. And I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what to say and do. and he shall be a spokesperson to the people, and he himself shall be as a mouth for you, and you shall be as him to be, and you shall be to him as God, and you shall take his rod in your hand, with which you shall do the signs. You know what surprises me about that passage is that sometimes he will not engage in your stupidity. Sometimes he will allow your stupidity to continue. He will allow your stupidity to continue because he's just done. His anger was against Moses and says, fine, you don't want to? There are certain times that you can battle him so much that he will allow you to experience all your failure for yourself. And eventually, a pattern begins to emerge, just like it did with Moses. Never made it, right? He never made it to the promised land. Why is that? There's a reason. There is a reason. Would you say, what would you say to the belief that Moses, because Moses had something in his hand, this allowed God to work miracles through that? Um, Moses was sent by God to do something because God wanted to make his name known to Pharaoh. Okay, he wanted to make his name known to Pharaoh. He asked Moses to go do something. Moses refused and wanted help where no help was needed because he had all the help he needed in God. That wasn't enough for Moses. He relented and sent Aaron with him. It did not affect the efficacy of God, it only affected Moses' faith. God's movement was going to happen regardless, which is why he could say, take Aaron and go. The only person that was harmed by that disobedient act that Moses did was Moses, not God. God was not harmed in that. He still got his point across to Pharaoh. He still had his movements made. His act was still enacted. Moses was the only person that didn't benefit. You see, we like to think that because we don't come and give what we have, or when we do come and give what we have, God will benefit from it. And if we don't, God won't benefit from it. Your actions do not affect him. His mission will be done. Remember, he said his word will not return to him void. His word will not return to him void. Whatever he sets out to do, he will do it with or without you. He does not need your talents. He does not need your skill. He does not need anything to get his will done. He will use you. He will flow through you, but he does not need you. He does not need us at all. The benefit is only on our end. Our benefit is him. He is not ours. No, sorry, we are not his. We are not his benefit. We benefit from him. Point blank, period. The majority of believers today have forgotten our place before the everlasting Father. We've forgotten it. We have forgotten that we are dust before God. I don't know how when we got to this point where the church thinks that the church is the be all and end all of God's word, like we just have the market corner. We have somehow forgotten that He's the one in charge. Like it's almost as though we believe that we are now controlling God, and we can control Him based on what we will and won't do, what skills we do and don't have. God needs me to do this. No, no, He don't. No, He does not. Please don't ever get yourself in such a knot that you somehow believe that what you have to offer God, He can't get any other way. That's not how He operates. In and of Himself, He does not need people. He doesn't. It says you can. It says not to. And the only way to know that is to be sent. You know this whole premise of pray for everyone. No, no. We don't ever want to ask Him what to do. We somehow think that we just do it and then He will weed out the rest. Just go without even asking, where am I going? What am I doing? Who am I going to? We just go. You won't ever know what the swine is or if you have pearls if you aren't sent. You'll never be sent if you don't go before Him and present yourself. Here am I. You see, because here's what happens. You enter the church and you come with your talents and your skill. And you realize pretty soon that your talent and your skill aren't reaching anybody. And the first thing you ask is, why aren't you moving, God? What more do I need to do? You ever heard people ask that? Why aren't you moving, God? What do I need to do to see a move from you? Maybe get out the way. I don't know. Maybe just get off the road and stop trying to drive. Just stop. Maybe you can see God actually move if you weren't the one blocking stuff. Maybe if you just stop doing what you want to do and do what He's asked you to do, that might be easier. It might just be easier. I don't know. Might be rocket science to some, but if you are operating in your own will to do what you think the kingdom needs, when kingdom never asked you to do it, why do you expect to see movement of the kingdom in your life? Why do you expect that? I don't know how the church really expects to see God in His life and movement in His body and all that. I don't know how you expect that when you never include Him in your decisions. You just go. I used to watch Sesame Street a lot when I was a child. My brother just loved Sesame Street. And there was a cool little scene in a little cartoon portion of Sesame Street. And it was a elephant. Okay. A elephant walks up to the man, and the elephant can talk. Obviously, it's a cartoon, right? The elephant can talk. And the elephant asks the man for directions to a certain place. Now, remember, the elephant goes to the person to ask directions. The man says, okay, so go. And the elephant says, oh, okay, go. And he takes off. The man standing there like, what? A couple of seconds later, the elephant comes right back. Go where? The man says, okay, go over. And he says, okay, go over. And he runs off again. Now, mind you, he hasn't gotten to his destination because he has not stopped to listen to the man's directions. Comes back to the man. And mind you, this is not Snuffy. Okay, this is just a cartoon. You know, they'd show the human and the puppet interaction, and then they'd show these little stories in between these sessions, right? Well, this was one of those cartoon sessions in between. Okay. And the elephant comes back again. Go over what? By this time, the man's starting to get a little impatient. And the man says, go over there. And he says, okay. And he takes off again. Comes back. Where is there? The man is frustrated at this point. I said, I can't give you directions if you won't listen. You came to me for directions. And when I'm giving you directions, you take off on your own because you heard what you wanted to hear that gave you just a little bit of an incentive to go do. But you end up getting lost and coming right back to me and still won't listen. You still won't listen because you think that with a little information, you can get the whole picture. And when you constantly fail, you get upset because somehow you feel that he's not delivering enough information quickly enough for you to do something. Instead of sitting at the feet after you have asked, where do I go? How can I be useful in the kingdom, Lord? And then you start running down the options that you have in your mind about what you can bring. You know what you forget in that time? That there is only one body that counts. And the only one to make it count is him. Because remember, you gave up yours, right? The first body that you've ever encountered in your life was yours, and you've given it up for God. You're no longer yours, you're his. He gave up his body for your salvation. He gave up his, an example of how you should die. And he's asked you to take up his life as an example of how to live. We have it so twisted that we don't even want to die, much less pick up his life. We don't even want to die. We don't even want to count our body among the sacrificed. We want to retain our life and live it as part of the kingdom because we are so valued in our own minds that God needs me. I mean, he wouldn't have given up his life if he didn't need me. He wants you. Massive difference. I need air. It's not like I want air. I need air. That's need. God doesn't need me for his existence. He doesn't need me for his work. He doesn't need me to do what he has to do. He doesn't need me. He will use me and he wants, but he does not need. Unfortunately for the Christian today, They're all about what God needs them for. They have not been counted among the dead to self, they're alive to self. And if you remain alive to self, then his body didn't count. This race that we have called life is not about what we can accomplish in it, it's about what he can accomplish through us. But make no mistake that if you are not willing to be used, he will not use you, nor will he force you to be used. He's just going to find somebody else, or he'll just do it. And especially if you want to do it for recognition and honor. He gets the honor, he gets the praise. I don't need it, want it, deserve it. I don't. I'm going to read something here real quick. This verse has been taken and placed in a biblical God kingdom kind of mindset. And many run into problems because of it. So we're gonna read this real quick. Okay? Submit to government. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God, and who resists will bring judgment on themselves. Now, I want to clarify what this is about. This is about abiding by the laws of the land, one with taxes and one with breaking when it comes to executions of life altering laws, not the laws that go against the laws of God. I want people to be clear about that. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good. And if you will have praise, and you will have praise from the same. Now, mind you, the authorities in Sodom and Gomorrah did not do. The rulers at the time of Shadrach and Meshach were not good. They did not bow to the rules and the laws of the land. Why? Because they contradicted God's law. Rulers are not a terror to good works, but when they are, for he is God's minister for you to do good. But if you do evil, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is God's minister, the avenger to execute wrath on him who practice evil. Therefore, you must be subject, not only because of the wrath, but because of conscience sake. For because of this, you also pay taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually to this very thing. Render therefore to their full due taxes to whom taxes are due, custom to whose customs, fear for whom fear, and honor to whom honor. That was in Romans 13. Today, we are living more in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah than we are in a God ordained situation. If the laws of man contradict the laws of God, there remains no way for you to abide by it because you have one law that's greater than all, which is God's. Period. And this whole idea of honor to whom honor is due has nothing, zero, and I mean zero, to do with the ungodly. You do not honor the ungodly because God doesn't honor the ungodly. I say all that in the vein for this topic for this reason. We as a society have now loved to count the bodies that are not in the kingdom as valuable. And we devalue kingdom life. See, kingdom life puts God's way above ours. Outside the kingdom, we put ours above God's, which is why we want to bring our talents, bring what we have, bring this, bring that. You remember the story of the talents? Remember what happened with that? One talent, that's mine, keeping it, not doing anything with it. Two, oh, look, I got two more. Five, look, I got five more. We don't ever look to him to what he wants to increase. We want the increase. We forget who the head is. We constantly forget who our head is. We constantly forget our place, the same way that Job's friends forgot their place. But at every instant in the Bible where men have tried to rise up against God, he has humbled them very quickly and succinctly. You will find no man running amok and not being humbled by God, whether that be by death or by insult or by rebuke, he will humble you. I just ask you not to be the one that thinks that you are so important that his way takes a backseat to yours. Do not ever think that. Don't ever think that your talents and skills surpass what he wants to get done. But maybe your reasoning for doing it is that you are worried that he's going to call you to do something that you have never done before, or that it's so scary to hand over that kind of power that you think you have. Then I would advise you to get to know the person you're handing over the power to so that you're not so afraid. See, if you knew him, handing it over would be no problem because what he wants to get done is for his glory, not for yours, mind you, for his. You have to know him to know that he's good, know he's righteous. And if you don't know that, of course you'll be afraid of what he's going to call you to do. Of course you'll be afraid to give up your body. Of course you'll be afraid to give up your life. Why wouldn't you? You don't know him. You've never tasted to see if he's good because you're too interested in keeping what you know and you have. But like I said, he will humble you. He'll break you if he has to. I'm living proof that if he has to, he will destroy your body to get your attention. He will snap you literally in half to get your attention. That is not even hyperbole. When you put yourself above his will, but said you follow him, be prepared for him to show you who he is. I used to depend a lot on me, my body. I always worked. I didn't need much sleep. Everything was about what I could produce. But in my producing, I completely ignored him. I said I followed him, but I never did. I was doing everything but following. And slowly but surely, body parts of mine started to fail. Knees went first, shoulder went next, wrist, back, neck, head, mind. Everything that I depended on, that I thought was my skill set, he erased. He took it off the table. And I could almost hear him say, "Now what? Now you have nothing. What you going to do? You don't have any talent. What now? Are you finally going to listen to me? Are you going to listen to me?" He had to break me of all of the dependency I had on myself to full dependence on him. And when I got to the point of full dependence on him, he gave me a brand new way to do things. He put me in a position that he wanted me in, not that I wanted, because I didn't want it. I was like Moses, that ain't me. What are you talking about? No. But he wanted what he wanted, and I had to be in a position of complete and utter subserviency for that to happen. Again, it is not a matter of whether or not he healed me for what I wanted to be healed from. He allowed the breaking of my body for me to listen, which is why I never wanted to pray for healing. I could feel that he was trying to do something. And I was fighting him on it every step of the way, but I knew it was him I was fighting. It made no sense for me to ask him to heal me because I genuinely felt that he was doing this, allowing this to happen to get my attention. And me asking him for healing, that was me trying to escape what was taking place here. There are some things that have to be smashed apart for you to realize that it was not valuable to begin with, and what he wanted to give you was something way more valuable. And not valuable to me, valuable to him. This is the biggest problem I found, is that I keep thinking that I'm going to get something of value for me. I'm going to get something that's valuable to him to carry. It's valuable to him. He's just allowing me to be that vessel to carry it, which means I get no praise for it. It is my job. It is valuable to him. My skill is valuable to him, not for me, not for my family, not for anything else but Him. We have forgotten whose body counts. We want to keep holding on to ours and never pick up His, and then wonder why things don't seem to be working. I don't even mean for your benefit, things just don't seem to be working. Mostly because you're looking for some sort of blessing out of this. The blessing, like I said, is His presence. That's the only blessing you need. If He sees fit to bless you or give you money, if He sees fit to do that, the next step for you wouldn't even be a recognition that you've got it. Your next step would automatically be thank you. And no one would be the wiser because you don't advertise it. Because it was never about you receiving, it was always about you giving up your life and picking up His. Many don't want to do that. And trust me, I know how hard it is because what you want is very strong. It's a big pull. I get it. I get it. I get it. And I don't want anybody to get to the point where you has to break your body. But if that's what He has to do, then so be it. We are called to live His life, not ours. Whatever we were before entering the kingdom is inconsequential. What we are after entering the kingdom is up to Him. When He's called you to do something and you say you are following Him and you say you love Him, maybe, just maybe, stop fighting Him. Just maybe. Tomorrow we'll be listening to a individual who became an atheist. And when you hear what when you hear his logic, I think you'll understand why many people fall by the way of atheism. And I'll try and help break down what I mean by that. He had an interview with Jesse Lee Peterson, and think what you will about Jesse Lee Peterson. Tomorrow's conversation is not about Jesse Lee Peterson. Just want to make sure you understand that. I don't want to see nobody in the comment section talking about this is Jesse. I don't listen. Just listen, hear me out. The topic tomorrow is about the guy that became an atheist. There are tons of things about Jesse that I do not agree with. He's hilarious. That's about the only thing I hadn't said. He's a funny man. I don't follow Jesse Lee. And I don't honor Jesse Lee. But he had this individual on there who is now a grandstanding atheist. And I want to dissect his thought process because it is a tell. It is a tell of why many will fall by the way of not just atheism, but falling away from the so called faith that they had. And you'll catch it probably more than likely right off the top. But in case you do, we'll go over the whole thing. And I think the see the interview is what? Not even that long. Let me make sure I find it here. His name is okay. Here it is. Here's the interview. It's only half an hour long. Okay. Um, David Smalley. In case you want to look up the person, his name is David Smalley. Um, David Smalley is now a outspoken atheist, and he can quote you the Bible back to front. So we'll talk, we'll listen to him because he's very confident in the fact that he has proof from the Bible that God is not real, and if He is real, He is violent, which is a contradiction to me in itself. But hey, what do I know? So tune into that. Um, yes, there is the Savage Patriots today. We are on today. Yes, 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 we are. Um, email right here. You guys have anything to say? Questions? Feel free to check that out. Um, MB Tactics has not gone. I have not done an episode yet. That's going to happen today. I'll record it, fix it up, and then put it up. It's very rarely am I going to, probably will never go live on that channel. Um, it is mostly going to be educational from you can watch it like it would, Jillian Michaels kind of thing. So I'll be showing you a couple of things to do. You can watch it, rewatch it, and practice what I show you. And probably 3 or 4 videos a week at the most. Um, and like I said, it'll go anywhere from exercise to self defense, but mostly self defense. And the exercise I'll probably be showing you is more to try and get yourself a little bit strong so you can actually execute the things I show you. Um, and they're going to be exercises that you can do without a gym. You can do it without a gym, and you can do it whether you're old or young, male or female. Um, a lot of it is going to be talking to you about how to carry yourself because that's 90% of the stuff that's going to keep you from getting attacked. Not necessarily your skill set, because people don't know your skill set. They're not going to judge you based on, oh, he looks like he knows karate. That's I'm going to teach you a couple of things of what confidence levels you need to have when walking, how to carry your purse or your bag or whatever. Stuff like that we're going to go over. So um, it'll be different than what you're used to seeing me do. So um, just just know that it's different. Um, again, I understand. I understand. Um, but like I said, if people are wanting to, there are ways they can. But I'm not going to personally put that up again, at least not anytime soon, until I've been given that back as something I should do. It just felt like I was what's the best word? Um, trying to be ahead of the provision. You get it? I felt like I'm trying to get ahead of his provision. And if he's going to provide, he provide when he wants to provide. It initially went up because it was something that people needed to do for their walk, not for mine, for theirs. If it's still that they want to do it, that people still have the option. I'm not telling people you never send me. That's not, because then I'll be telling people how to move. I'm not doing that. What I'm telling you is that, as usual, if he's done that and told you to do something, you have a way that you can contact me via email to find out how. I don't need to keep reminding people every day that they can do it. Because if it's something that he's going to put on your heart, he'll put it on your heart and you'll find a way to do it. Okay. So I don't want to be that person that advertises all the time that money. I really don't want to become that guy. Um, Besides which, you guys have been helping a lot with your getting of gear. Speaking of which, by the way, I know I needed to do something. Hang on, real quick. I said I would do this, and I'm going to do it because somebody sent me a picture, and so I need to bring it up here. Let me bring this up here. Hang on. Make sure I find this right. Because I'm pretty sure I downloaded the picture. Gotta find it in my computer because actual stuff looks like. Maybe I didn't download it. I'll try and put it as a post. I'll have to re-find it. I'll have to re-find it. But there are bags available. So the bags are available, Eric. I mean, you just gotta, it's there. I put them there. Um, oh, I probably should grab the channel, huh? Dumbo Circus. Um, let me grab the channel real quick. Like I said, I just started this one up. It's been trying to go for a while now, but I have not done it. And now that I am, um, you guys can go find it. And I'll put the link in the chat here for you. So this is the channel. Okay. Here we go. Found it. Ha ha. Ha ha. All right. I found it. So this is the channel here. It only has one video up right now. And but it will have it populated more this week. So feel free to jump over there and drop it a sub. Um, I'm going to populate it again, like I said, with mostly information about how to walk, um, how to um, with eye contact, small things that people don't think about. It's stuff that goes through my head all the time when it comes to self-defense. Um, Judging people, it's a good thing to do. Being discerning, avoiding people is a very good thing too. So we'll talk about all of that stuff on this channel. So feel free to go ahead and look into it. Um, this is what the hang on the mugs look like. Those are the mugs. Those are little jugs that you get for and the shirts are pretty cool looking too. They're not too bad. And those are the shirts. They turned out pretty good. So make sure that you guys at least give me a sub on that channel if you're interested in self-defense. If you're not, then I don't mean that you have to just because. But if it's something that you want to learn, um, to at least keep yourself um, safer than normal, Go ahead and get that. Um, as for the shop, copy. This is the link to the store, directly to the store. Okay. That is the link directly to the store there. If you guys want it, feel free to grab it. That is the link directly. Um, I'm going to show you what the new spots in the store are now because I did add some stuff to it. Because people have been asking about what's there. Um, I did manage to get my hat up there. That free thinker hat is up there. I did do the is might be good, but is it God thing. So there's the purses. See, there's purses. People ask about purses. They're purses. Um, so yeah, feel free to check out the store. Up to you. Um, the jackets are there too, and there are hoodies and all of that kind of stuff. So, but if you want classes on how to take care of yourself, tune into that other channel. Um, but as for this money thing, if it's something that you are asked to do and called to, then you do it, and you have a way to get a hold of me to find out how. I'm not gonna tell you have to or shouldn't. Just do it. Talk to the man about it. Talk to God about it. Let him be the one that decides for you with everything as usual, but especially with this. Um, I'm not stepping in the way to tell you to or not to. That's not my place at all. Ever will be. No. This will be a thing between God and yourself, and where to do what you have to do, what you want to do it with. You are about this conversation with your father about everything. That's you. Make sure you do that. So we'll see you at the Savage Patriots at 6:30 Eastern. And the mix tonight. We're not sure about Too Strong. Like I said, we're waiting on something very specific for the Too Strong episode, which is good because we waited because last night we had a little bit more information, and so it's a good thing we waited. Very good thing we waited, and so now we have a little bit more stuff to go on. And so when we finally do go live again on Too Strong, we will have a good bit of stuff to talk about, not just superficial. So just keep an eye out on the channel. We'll be back. We're just kind of prepping this one to go. So Savage Patriots 6:30 and the mix 9:30. We'll see you guys there. Hopefully this message encouraged you a little bit to go back and talk to your father about what your role in the kingdom is by his standards, not yours. And tomorrow we'll listen to an atheist's viewpoint of God. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. Please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself and know